Guys, welcome back. In the recent issue of Classic Rock with Rush on the cover, there are two separate articles in there. One with Getty and Alex, the other is with Anika Nilles. This episode, we're talking about the Anika Nilles. We're going to take a look at this interview with her. So, guys, I can't wait to share that with you. With regard to my last video, guys, thank you so much for your outpouring of love and support, encouragement. I told my wife I have the best group of guys, people, audience, if you will. But anyway, you guys are amazing and continue to honor me and amaze me. And I'm very thankful for you. I'm thankful for you watching, for your subscribing, and just for being here. But most of all, though, your friendship and encouragement. I shared a little bit about my life. You guys responded with so much love, and that means so much to me. Guys, I'm Eric. This is the Loudboy Experience, and let's go. Okay, guys, real quick, I just want to share two things with you. One is that, yeah, I told you I've been walking just for exercise, to lose weight, and to just feel better. I did 5.2 miles and 7.2 miles today. So 5.2 miles and 7.2 miles today. That was yesterday, 5.2. Point is, I've been upping my miles each day, and I want to encourage you guys. It's not the easiest thing, right? If you feel you need to put some exercise in, walking is one of the best things you can do. Because of my spine and my issues and stuff, I can't run. I can't do anything insane like that, but I can walk. And I've been walking, got my little walking treadmill. This cheap little thing won't count to 100. It does 99.99 minutes, so 99 minutes, 99 seconds, and then it zeroes out and it stops. So it literally has a limit of 99 minutes and 99 seconds. Really old school tech, right? You know, I swear, this thing would not have survived Y2K. That amount of time, 99 minutes and 99 seconds, when it times out and just stops and slows to a halt, that, with my walking speed, is 5.2 miles. That's not a bad average every day to put in over 5 miles of brisk walking. So guys, I encourage you. I'm doing my best each day. And if you share with me, we keep each other accountable. Maybe we can just get a little bit healthier. I don't know. I'm the last guy in the world who'd ever thought I'd be like talking with people about becoming healthy again. And yet, when you get to be my age, you got these gray hairs like I do at my age, yeah, you gotta do something. Otherwise, the old bucket, you'll be kicking it before you. Okay, enough of that. Another thing I want to show you, for all you Gen Xers out there, you know the whole time of iPods and everything, right? Well, I told you guys in one of my recent interviews that I had a Zune. This is it. This is 80 gigabytes of music and photos and pictures and so on. It even has a built-in AM FM radio. And what's great is, for 80 gigs was huge back then. And then I have my entire Rush collection is still on here. My son is looking forward to inheriting this ancient tech from me. This is what's great. I downloaded the software and I'm like, it won't work. It won't work. Believe it or not, I got it to work in the latest version of like Windows 11, software that was designed for maybe Windows XP. So ancient software, right? Ancient. And look what I loaded on here. Yes, the Super Deluxe Grace Under Pressure. I was able to load brand new tracks, brand new album on here. That's really cool. So if you guys have an old Zune, I happen to love this sucker. I brought it everywhere. I used to travel by airplane all over the place, and this thing kept me entertained. It was a great little unit and beat any iPod of the day. So anyway, I love the Zune. It is made fun of relentlessly in media, and yet I do love this little sucker. It works quite well. All right, that's it, guys. Zune and walking, which really go hand in hand, I guess, right? I can listen to this and walk at the same time. Guys, let's get right to the article. Let's take a look at it. I want to give a major shout out to cygnusx1.net. That's cygnus-x1.net. Possibly the biggest archive of Rush stuff on the internet. This guy's been doing it for 20 years. Thank you for your photos and your archives and the recent copies of articles, including this one. This is Classic Rock, May 2026, issue 352. There's two articles in here. You can see Rush is on the cover. First one with Getty and Alex. I'm going to scroll on through that. We're going to do that in the next episode. But this time we're talking about this interview with Anika. That's right. So it's appropriately called Grace Under Pressure. Talk about, I mean, that was a really gimme, right, for a title. Perfect timing, and it kind of makes sense. Grace Under Pressure. She's in a lot of pressure. So, this is Grace Under Pressure by Philip I should really read these ahead of time. Philip Dethlefs. Okay, you can see his name there on screen. And it says, filling the shoes of the much-loved musician, of course, that's Neil, is a daunting task for any artist. Anika Nilles talks about stepping into the glare of the Rush spotlight and her life with music growing up. When it was announced last year that German drummer Anika Nilles was chosen to take the place, not replace, but take the place of late, great Neil Peart in one of the biggest, most musically technical bands in the world, many rock fans may have wondered, Anika who? But don't let her relatively low profile in the rock world lead you to underestimate her. Soon, that profile will skyrocket, and deservedly so. Drummer, composer, bandleader, musical director, she's more than qualified and more than capable. That she has toured with Jeff Beck, and whose other drummers include Simon Phillips and Vinnie, whatever that is, should be among itself. What pressure? What pressure? Many will think she's fortunate enough to hook up with Rush. Others reckon Rush is fortunate to hook up with her. Wow. Bold statements there. So they're going to ask her a series of questions. Let's take a look. Have you previously experienced the level of attention you're getting now? That's actually not a bad question. Yes, but before it was within the drum community. Not so much mainstream or general music or press, more drum community publications and trade. I beg to differ. This is going to be more. I mean, yes, she's gotten some notoriety in the drum community, but come on. She has no idea the gilded cage is coming. So, all right, next question for Anika. How does it feel? A new, exciting experience? And she replies, it's definitely a whole different level than before. Okay. How did it all happen? Well, this is Anika replying. I was on tour with Jeff, meaning Beck, and Jeff guitar tech Scully was there as well. Scully was also Getty's bass tech, and was basically that was the connection. Scully apparently told Getty about me and then got in touch. So then he asks her, if I just messed everything up here, then he asks her, what was your first thought? Meaning, okay, so Scully goes to Getty, and then they contact her. What did you think then? Okay. A call to me is definitely something that you need to process first. And then I got an invitation to Canada. Initially, it was about meeting to see whether it would work with those guys on stage and whether this lineup would work. Interesting. Of course, it was overwhelming at first to be playing with two of them in the studio in such a small setting. Okay, so that's what happened. They bring her over to Toronto and they go into studio in the small setting. And so she's saying, yeah, it was overwhelming for her. They ask her then, how did you prepare? Anika replies, I had a few songs prepared. So she actually prepared some Rush stuff before she flew over, and then they played those. So she got to do some prep before she met with them. But during this session, we also talked about Neil, about his music and drumming. We spoke a great deal about the feel of the songs. The most important part is simply getting the feeling that it feels right for the two of them to play their music again. And ultimately, it will feel for us, well for us and the fans as well. We talked about that a lot. So they had some long discussions about this, which is good. We've been discussing this. How are we going to feel about it? And we're still talking about this. All right. The first session was really about getting to know each other. Of course, that makes complete sense. You have to know them on a personal level. Next question, may I ask which songs you play together first? Unfortunately, I can't leak any songs. Wow. So tight-lipped about the stuff that they used for their initial meeting. They're really keeping this under wraps. Okay. What will go through your mind in the days leading up to the first concert in LA? Or maybe the first minutes before that concert in June? I hope I can stay focused. This is Anika replying. I try not to put too much pressure on myself. That's very important, just to have fun as well. Of course, it's a big deal and there's a certain level of expectation. But for me, it's very important to stay focused and enjoy it, and not to approach it too rigidly. It's smart. I can, yeah. I've had to do that. All right. If you don't get some level of nervousness, anticipation, hope, and desire to do well, like all that's wrapped up into one thing before a performance. And I've done singing, and I've done drums, and I've done saxophone, and I've done choral groups, all kinds of stuff, musical performance and stuff, and acting as well. Then if you don't have some of those quote butterflies and stuff, and if you use if you become anxious about those things, it'll take away from your focus. Meaning you won't have fun anymore. It will be. So I know what she's. Any of you who have performed know that balance you try to find. You want to nail it. You got to nail it. You strive for excellence, and yet let's go have some fun as well. That's not an easy tightrope to walk, and yet when you do it, magic happens. I've had a few fortunate times where I don't know. I did well. I'm not going to say magic happened. Okay, here we go. Did you get stage fright? Do you get stage fright before all right? So, in a follow up to that, does she in general get stage fright? In the past, I actually had a big issue with stage fright, and I worked on it a lot. I developed enough techniques and tools that I can rely on. And if the nerves really start to take over, I definitely know how to counteract that. Well, she's definitely an accomplished and experienced touring musician. That just makes sense. What was your relationship with Rush and their music before this came out? Were you familiar with the catalog? This is a great question. As a drummer, I was familiar with Neil's work, of course, especially Tom Sawyer. That's a classic. It's played a lot in the drum community as I play along or even in exams, but I never really listened to Rush. Even though I grew up with rock and progressive music, that's fascinating. So she grows up with rock, but never really listened to Rush. Interesting. I listened to a lot of rock, but somehow never Rush. I really want to have a good talk with her parents. Somebody really dropped the ball there. Okay, all right, never mind. I'm gonna let that one slide. All the songs I'm learning now are new to me, and basically I'm starting from scratch. What do you guys think about that? Right? She says she doesn't know a lot about Rush. She says she didn't listen to them. She knew Tom Sawyer, but little else. So, what do you think? Does that sound credible? I'm not questioning her or the truthfulness of the statement, but what do you think about that phenomenon, right? Is it good to come in fresh like this? Or as a diehard fan? In the days leading up to this, we all talked about, we all name checked a bunch of people, right? And most of them were diehard Rush fans. It's like an easy way to go. And yet, I can tell you that let's just go to the movie community for a while, right? A lot of times, very successful, amazing films, you bring in an unknown actor who's just amazing, right? It's a good actor and perfect for the role, but unknown and it'll blow your mind. Uh, Mark Hamill, relatively unknown. Harrison Ford was still really, he did a couple things, but relatively unknown. And meaning, like when you start off from scratch like that, it can be a good thing. And I guess if we're going to kind of relate the two, she's coming in fresh. I don't know. What do you guys think? I still got to run this through my head. How does that impact this, or does it at all? Okay, here we go. What is the biggest challenge for you? They ask. And Anika replies, the biggest challenge is really capturing the right feel. So there's that word again, feel. In these songs, it's less about what I play, whether it's true to the original, that's a little worrisome, or whether there's enough room for improvisation. I think she likes to improvise. That comes second. First and foremost is about capturing the right feel. More on that in a second. That also means immersing yourself in some extent in Neil's way of thinking and his playing feel, which is a huge part of the music. Neil is simply part of this music. Yes. And you can't ignore or bring your own ego to it. You have to approach it with respect. Okay, I like the second part of that. And maybe that's what she means by feel. I'll take just a leap there in that if she's saying this is about how it feels, maybe that's her terminology or possibly a translation to and from German and English, just guessing, that's her way, to honor the sensitivity and how Neil played it and just the feel of it and how, I don't know, maybe that's just a word she's using to sum up I have to do Neil justice right and yet be myself at the same time. And again, she's walking that tightrope. She really is. So I'd like your thoughts on that. This whole feel has come up a lot, and then which is kind of a what's the word for that? Nebulous? No, it's a word that could be defined multiple ways, possibly, or is subjective to whomever is saying it or hearing it. Let's move on. Capturing the feel, there it is again, also means playing things differently than I might normally play them. Feel, see, oh, wait, okay. I'm just wondering if feel is a catch-all for stuff. Playing them the way Neil played them to give the guys their familiar feeling of that song, that's the biggest challenge. Figuring out that what it needs for each song, what creates that feeling so we can, wow, this word, so that the two of them can be comfortable. What do they need? What are the needs of the song and why does it sound the way it does? Okay, this all right, and where does my focus lie in my work on the set list, and then ignoring what the song needs and defines it. Okay, point is, if I read between the lines there's nothing wrong with what she's saying. Honor Neil the way it sounds. Make sure the boys are comfortable with it. Heck, if the boys are comfortable with it and they can play along and it doesn't sound like alien or strange to them, it's like, oh yeah, this is the song. This is the feeling of it. Then we're golden. We really are. And maybe because I parsed that from all of these 600 times she said the word feel and feelings. I'm not even gonna say the joke. I want to say it right now. How much of your time per week is going into rush and how intense is the preparation? Great question. Since January, I've been preparing full time only. Okay, good. 5 or 6 hours of playing every day, completely focused on it. Before that, it was more a mix because I still had other commitments. Okay, so she's 100% rush now, obviously. My band had just released an album. We were in the middle of a tour, and I had to balance all that out. But now, more than a year and a half before the tour, I've stepped away from everything else and I'm focusing completely on the preparation. Sorry, about a half a year. Sorry, half a year away from the tour. For someone who isn't a drummer, can you describe roughly what defined Neil's playing? So this is okay. They're asking her, can you describe for someone who's not a drummer what defines him? His playing is very energetic, and I really like that. That's something I feel very comfortable with. I also love playing in a very energetic way. That's the first thing that comes to mind, and something I really appreciate about his playing. All right. Moving on. He also had an incredible range of tonal colors. He had a very melodic approach to drumming and used a wide variety of sounds to achieve that. That set him apart and made him stand out from many drummers, for whom he was, still is, a role model. Okay? He, meaning Neil, this is Anika talking about Neil, had a very distinctive way of playing that ride cymbal. Yes, he did. Something that I've tried to emulate. When you listen to the music, that cymbal always yes, it does, stands out prominently. It has its own feel, which is really important for the guys. The sense of that feeling that I mentioned earlier. Yes, 80 times. Yes, that feel. He had a very distinctive snare as well. There are certain signature sounds that come more directly from his playing, not from the equipment, but for him. That's it. That's it. Let's hear that again. There are certain signature sounds that come from directly from his playing, not from the equipment. It came from Neil. You can recognize him immediately. Adapting his way of playing is a challenge. Yes. I mean, really, that sums it up right there. Adapting to his way, to Neil's way of playing is a challenge. You think? Yeah. Okay. Well said. Even non-musicians can tell that Rush's music is on another level. Many of these songs feel almost scientific in their precision, don't they? Anika replies, yes, you could say that. It's a very creative way of writing songs, a very creative and authentic. If you know the guys, you know how authentic it is. It's not something artificially pieced together. It comes from within them. Of course, it is highly complex. And within that complexity, the drumming, the way the parts are composed, almost feel like a work in its own right, and it's all interwoven into the song. That's well said. Yeah, well said. And again, guys, you're listening in headphones, you're listening in stereo, right? It's Rush, got all three, playing various instruments, yada yada. But the what I love about one of the main things I love about Rush is that Neil is always front and center in that stereo space or whatever your space you're listening, right? It's like you get Neil. I'm getting everything. I'm getting all three, all pieces, singing, guitar, bass, keys, yada yada. But Neil's always right there. He's not buried in the mix. He's full part of the trinity of Rush, and that's one of the. So yeah, that's one of the key things of why I love Rush. It's just his how prominent he is in the soundscape itself. Neil rarely repeated himself. This is Anika talking about Neil Peart. He kept bringing something new into every song. Even the section that repeated in terms of songwriting, his drumming the second time was different. Yeah, so we famously on what Snakes and Arrows, I think, maybe Clockwork, they're working in the studio, right? And Nick wanted another take, and he was nervous at first. Can I ask Neil to adjust verse 3? And because I want something different, right? Like when you go up to Neil, like, hey, what you just recorded 2 times wasn't enough. Make it different, make it better. And Neil would go in and put his head down and do it, make it different, make it better. And therefore, what I'm addressing here is what she just said. The second time is different from the first. Yeah, Neil strove to do that. He did not just repeat the same rhythm for each consecutive verse and so on. Or heck, a lot of drummers just use it for the whole bloody thing, top to bottom. But I digress. That makes it exciting and what gives their songs an identity. And this is Anika talking about Neil. At the same time, it's a challenge to remember all those details because they're important. It's a composition. You can't just ignore certain parts. They're all essential to have been played, and that is challenging. Yes, it is. Like I said, Grace truly under pressure, and I've said many times on this channel, I can't fathom the pressure she's under, and the shoes that she's filling, the set she has to sit by, the men she has to work with, the crowd she has to please, the songs she has to memorize, the drum parts she has to be, to play with perfection. Bonkers, next level ridiculous. So yeah, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I mean, meaning the challenge that's before her, and yet it seems like she's taking it well and in stride so far. I can't wait to hear more. How are Getty and Alex as people, as colleagues? Okay, they are incredibly funny. Alex and Getty. This is Anika talking about Alex and Getty. Very human, very warm, very welcoming. It felt comfortable right away. And that's extremely important when you're working a guy. Amen. Of course it is. That it works on that level. Thankfully, it clicked with the two of them immediately. I really enjoy watching them play because they do it with incredible joy. They're simply having fun. Yet at the same time, they're completely focused when it comes to the details. They, meaning Getty and Alex, this is Anika talking about them. Getty and Alex are deeply immersed in the details of the music. They know every note and every hit by heart. They're fully aware of everything, and their energy, both in the way they interact and with each other, is a sheer force of their playing. It's just fantastic to witness. It's incredibly fun. Next question. Did you ever want to become a rock star, or was that your intention? Okay. Anika replies, no. It never turned out that way. And it never turned out the way I imagined it anyway. You can plan a career, then completely different things happen. My entry was actually quite unusual through the drum community. That happened when I posted YouTube videos of my own compositions. That wasn't even planned either. A friend of mine wanted to test his camera. Is this cool? And he said, come on, let's make a drum video. I love that. Then it was 15 years ago, before Instagram and all that, and it was a completely different time. And that's how this project started. Let's do some drum videos. And I kept the momentum. And I made an album and formed a band, and the videos reached millions of views. And funnily enough, Jeff Beck saw those videos. I love the age in which we live. I heard someone say, I forgot who it was someone in the know, maybe a producer, someone in the creative arts, at one point said, hey, if you want to do something, do it. We live in an age in which you post your work and you put out your finest work and you strive for excellence. You just get it out there. If someone wants to pick up on that, they will. They will find you. This doesn't happen to everyone. There are millions of people who will never be discovered and no one ever cares about. However, greatness will shine through. Cream will rise to the top. No pun intended. That's a cream joke. It's a horrible one. Okay. But we do live in that age. This is proof positive. Okay? Let's make a drum video. One thing led to another. Anika, why don't you come over to Canada? And she joins Rush. Ridiculous. So yeah, it's just, I love that. The promise of this age was told to us back in college when I was studying communications, TV, film, and all that production stuff. A guy came to speak to us, and he talked about this digital revolution coming. Everything is ones and zeros, right? And it doesn't matter how many times something is streamed, it's just ones and zeros, meaning you can stream to 1 million people, you can stream to 10 people. It's just, meaning we're going to live in this age of everything on demand. We're there now. Streaming services. We can watch a show that's 80 years old and we can watch the latest episode of yada yada. We live in this age now. But with that comes the ability to do your own podcast, your own YouTube videos, to stream whatever you want, to make content for TikTok and Instagram. We live in this age in where you can put yourself out there. If you have talent, you can make something. And I just love that so much. But again, this is I can't talk now. This is a fulfillment of a promise. Say that 5 times fast. That was told me 30 years ago when I was in college. And it's just, it's cool. I've told this to my kids, but they're like, Dad, whatever. Yeah, I got one of those usual dad responses, right? Like, we don't care about how old you are. Anyway, moving back to the article. Before that, I had already played for some bigger acts in Germany and toured, but playing for others was never really my thing. I always focused more on my own compositions. I love that. That she just loves working independently because and being an independent artist. Of course, playing with Jeff was a huge deal, performing with a top artist at that level, but all that really came through the videos. I can understand that completely. In her case, being a one-woman band or me being a one-man band, because everything I do is my world. I conceive of it, I record it, I edit it, I create it, top to bottom. I control every facet of what I'm doing. If people hate it, they hate it. If you guys enjoy it and subscribe and watch my stuff, God bless you. Thanks for doing it. But yeah, he says, I like controlling my thing. Do I want to make some streaming videos with you guys? Yes. I've asked you, a few of you, to join me. Let's do something together. I haven't really got any takers yet. Am I that bad? I'm just kidding. All right, so let's get back to the article. Man, I am digressing all over the place tonight. What does it mean as a German drummer to play for the most famous band in the world? Do you see yourself as a role model for young women? Let me rephrase. Let me start again. What does it mean for you as a German drummer to play for a world famous band? That makes more sense. Do you see yourself as a role model? I do think I've become a role model for many people. I like the way she said that, not just women. But over the past 10 years, with everything that has happened, I've learned that I've sort of grown into that role. I don't do it consciously. I make decisions based on what's in front of me at the time. But I believe it's important as a woman on drums, which is still underrepresented, to have role models. To be able to say, look, she's playing in a band. She's playing for this act. We're here. We can fulfill these roles just as men can. That's important because let me. I don't no no commentary. That's important. When I was growing up, that didn't really exist. Fortunately, I had a lot of support from my family and friends, my parents and my family. But I know many girls don't have that support and have to fight their way through it for different reasons. For them, it's even more important to have a role model they can look up to, and I am aware of that responsibility. Well said. Well said. Humble. I like it. What will it mean to you to go to Germany, your home country, with Rush and perform there? And where there'll surely lots of people in the audience who have known you a long time. It's always something special to. This is Anika replying to a question: what it'll be like to play in Germany. It's always something special to play in a home country with a big act. It was really special with Jeff, meaning Jeff Beck, and special again with Rush. I think the guys haven't been there in quite a long time either. No, they haven't. It's been a while. So it'll be special for them and wonderful for me to connect with German Rush fans, and I'm really looking forward to that. Next question. Which Rush songs do you like the most? She won't be able to answer this. Oh, she does. I just read ahead. And I love her for the answer. I listened to the entire catalog before I started. I'm excited. I'm reading too fast. I listened to the entire catalog before I started practicing specific songs. I like songs that really kick in. Natural Science. Okay. I love me some Anika now. Because guys, you know how much I love Natural Science. Freaking love it. All right, so the Natural Science, for example, is one I like a lot. Very energetic, many parts, odd time signatures. It's a colorful mix of everything. Yes, it is. It's my favorite freaking song. I also like the melodic songs like Time Stand Still. Beautiful song. That's one of my favorites. I have a feeling, yeah, they'll be playing both of those on the 50 something tour. Natural Science and Time Stand Still. Of course, they're going to do Time Stand Still, but I can definitely see them doing Natural Science. So don't quote me. Yeah, quote me on that. I bet you they're going to play it. There are quite a few songs, but I'm into that combination. She likes the melodic, full of energy, and full power again. Me too. That sounds like a good prog rock song. Two more questions. You mentioned rehearsing up to 40 songs for the set list. Those are going to be some intense weeks. Yes, exactly, says Anika. And finally, when do the full-time rehearsals begin? I believe full-time rehearsals begin mid-April. All right, guys, check out my other video. It's called Rush Is Back, Turn the Page, 50-something tour. But in that, they do talk about Rush rehearsing full-time in Toronto. And in the article that we just read references that. So yes, more is coming soon. I thank you as always for being here. Thank you for your love and support recently in response to me sharing some health stuff. Guys, as always, I'm Eric. This is a Loudboy Experience. You guys have a good one.